All right, folks, so it's time for the final Emerald Dream card review. It's been fun. I've really enjoyed this set a lot of cool designs. I like the theme a ton. Today we've got priest cards, including like Tyrande for the first time as a card. Pretty cool. Like 11 years on, we're still getting this this level of iconic Warcraft characters for the first time. Pretty sweet. I got a hood on today because my hair is ugly. Pretty cool though. I like prison Trump vibes, if you guys remember those old I look like edgy and cool, like prison Trump. Trump from Hearthstone, of course. I mean, anyway, we're doing priest stuff today, and we've got the Imbue package. We've got some like Tyrande spell stuff. So let's go ahead and jump into it here with Tyrande. She's a 7 mana, 5/7 battle cry. The next 3 spells you play cast twice, which is potentially a lot of mana cheat. You know, you play some 10 mana spells, you can cheat 30 mana with Tyrande. It's kind of unrealistic. Probably gonna have to play some cheaper spells to stay alive, or some more mid-range spells. But you know, you could easily see this cheating 15 mana worth of stuff. You know, 3-5 mana spells on average, kind of thing, which is big play. That is potentially a ton of mana cheat. When you look at the spells and priests right now, the expensive ones aren't really all that great to cheat. There's a lot of stuff that doesn't even really do anything when it goes off twice. Other stuff, not really that exciting, you know, like Light Bomb going off twice. Like, what? It doesn't really do anything, right? Like, what is that about? So I think the kind of smaller, more mid-range stuff right now is good. That said, we are going to see some cards that do potentially synergize here with Tyrande, like Moonwell, a new 7 mana spell, deal 4 to all enemy characters and restore 4 to all friendlies. We're going to see Ritual of the New Moon, which can summon you some minions. After it has been upgraded, you get 2 random 6 costs, like doubling that with Tyrande, you get 4 random 6 costs. And then Wish of the New Moon is some minion removal that, you know, gets lifesteal if upgraded, which this could be pretty nice, like heal 12, basically, thanks to Tyrande. That could be a big hit. And then we're going to see an Imbue package, which kind of synergizes with Tyrande, but not really. It is kind of unfortunate. The hero power for Imbue Priest is Blessing of the Moon. You choose a priest minion or priest spell to add to your hand. Those are going to be like predetermined, so you'll see the minion and you'll see the spell. So it's like, okay, I see it's Tyrande being offered and it's Moonwell being offered. It's not just random. It's not blind. You'll get it. You'll get some info. And then it costs 1 less, but it's temporary. So, you know, that can be, it costs like 5 less if you've imbued 5 times, you know, whatever, however many imbues you want to run. But the card is temporary, which does mean you can't like load these up early throughout the mid game for a big Tyrande pop off, right? Like they're going to go away at the end of the turn. So if you don't use them right now, they're gone. So like, you know, if you're going to do this with Tyrande, you almost kind of need like a 9 mana turn where you play Tyrande, then hero power, and like have to hope that that spell is good or big. But the crazy thing is you're only getting to see 1 spell. So I don't really think this is very good with Tyrande. Not that it's necessarily supposed to be, just kind of unfortunate that it doesn't really feel like it fits either of the legendaries for priests. Remember previously we saw that Aviana that after 3 turns reduces your cards to 1 cost. Like neither of these really seem to go all that well with the Imbue package to me. I mean, you know, you obviously have 3 spells for Tyrande, so you could kind of hero power again the next turn and try again. But again, it could just be like a small spell. You're only getting to look at 1 spell. So the odds of it being big and awesome and a great payoff just aren't that high. So anyway, where that leaves me is that right now, I don't think Tyrande really has that many good payoffs. Like Moonwell's okay. I think this is solid, but I don't think it's crazy for the record. Also, I think Moonwell to baseline is really hard to play. We'll talk about that more in a minute. So it's like, do I even want to run this in my deck? I'm not sure it's a good enough card. So I'm thinking Tyrande right now is like, man, I don't really see the payoffs for Tyrande at the moment where I feel good about running a 7 mana card that doesn't do anything right away, because without a way to like play a card immediately, you're just playing a 7 mana pass turn basically. Theoretically, you could wait till 10 and play like a 3-drop with it to help catch up a little bit of tempo. But then you're waiting till turn 10 to do your cool thing, and that doesn't feel great either always. So a little bit iffy right now. What I really need is like some awesome like 8 mana spell where it's like, okay, I gave up turn 7, but that's okay because I'm a priest, I'm stabilized. But then on turn 8, I'm going to do something insane and crazy. That doesn't exist right now, but it might in future sets, right? This is a card where at the moment, not so high on it, but as we go down into the next 5 sets where Tyrande will still be in rotation plus mini sets, surely some stuff will come along that pays this off in a really big way. unless they just keep balancing things around it. It almost feels like these two cards in particular were almost balanced around Tyrande, which could be a bit of a problem if they like can't print great stuff because Tyrande breaks it, but because of that, all the cards are bad, and then Tyrande's also kind of bad. We need at least one kind of broken thing, I think, to make this feel worth it. I think there is a good chance that happens. Again, it's just, you know, a year and a half or whatever to find something cool for this to do. It has that latent potential 100%. I don't expect to see this card in this set much. Down the road, it could be like a deck-defining sort of card. So talking about these other spells here, we've got Moonwell, a 7-mana spell, deal 4 damage to all enemy characters, restore 4 health to all friendly characters. And I will say, like, at a baseline, I just do not think this card gets there, man. 4 damage by turn 7 is not very much. Like, okay, it goes face, that's nice, but it just is not going to clear a lot of boards. It's going to leave behind 5/1s and 6/2s and all this stuff. And then the 4 health to all friendlies is like, it's capped at 4 on your hero. Ugh. Like, that is not enough. You know, it's almost like I wish this had lifesteal or something. Maybe that'd be too good because this would be like a full heal or something. But it's kind of the thing it needs for me to feel good about playing this at a baseline. I think it's better with Tyrande, deal 8, heal 8. Like, that's a more reliable board clear. But do you want to run a card that's only good if you've just played Tyrande? You've got like a 3-card window basically to make Moonwell good, a 3-spell window anyway. I don't know, dude. That's pretty iffy for me. I think this could be 6 mana and it would still maybe feel bad at a baseline. Even 5 mana. I mean, I guess it's kind of just eclipsing Holy Nova of old at that stage. But I think to keep up these days, it kind of needs to be much better. And I just don't see that at 7 mana here. This feels like the numbers are just too small. I mean, deal 5 and 5. Would that have really killed for this card? I don't know, man. Okay post Tyrande card, but I don't know if you can run it in a deck just for that. Then we've got Ritual of the New Moon here, 5 mana arcane, summon 2 random 3-cost minions, and then cast 3 spells to summon 6-cost minions instead. It looks like this is only upgraded in hand, so you have to draw this and then cast the spells. I don't think it's getting upgraded in deck necessarily. I'm not 100% sure, but just based on the video we saw for it, that's how it looks. And to be clear, the first half of this is utter garbage. No one on earth would pay 5 mana to summon 2 3-cost minions unless you're just absolutely sickly desperate for something to do. I don't even think it's great at the upgraded version. Like, you know, you're thinking, oh, I get 2 Boulder Fist Ogres for 5 mana. That would be okay. I don't actually think that's crazy anymore. Like, it'd be pretty good. You wouldn't be mad about 2 Boulder Fist Ogres. The problem is not everything's a Boulder Fist Ogre. There's a lot of smaller battle cry minions or like synergies that just don't pay off. We could look at the pool, I guess, but I looked earlier, there's like a lot of like 3 health and 4 health stuff. It's like, oh, you know, Dr. Stitch and So normally I'd be pumped about that card, but it's like, oh, he's just a dead body, you know, he's like a small 6-drop body. That's not very exciting at all, right? You'll get like the new Hideous Husk and it's like, okay, I got a 3/5, like that feels like a 3-drop, not a 6-drop. So, you know, there are great results too. There's like the charge guy that, you know, if he's not started in your deck, he has charge. You know, you're really excited to get a 6/6 with charge, sure. But I think more than half the time, you're going to feel pretty disappointed. So again, at a baseline, I really don't think this card makes the cut. Number one, because anytime you top deck it and it's not upgraded, it is the worst card in your deck. And even when it is upgraded, I think it's just an okay card at best, and sometimes still a big whiff that feels really bad to play. So it's almost, again, reliant on Tyrande to make it solid, because if you get 4 random 6-cost minions, you know, number one, just more total output, more stuff on board. It's an actual threatening board, and also just more likely to get evened out results instead of some crazy low rolls or whatever. You're more likely to find a taunt or a rush or whatever to help make it a bit more reactive. So are both of these cards kind of balanced around Tyrande? But then it's like, how quickly does Tyrande decks just forget these as new expansions come out and new cards become better options? And then number two is like, is that window again too tight for these cards to actually be worth it? Because I've got only 3 cards for Tyrande. Is this really one of the 3? I don't know. I don't feel good about this. I think this card's actually kind of bad. Moving on to Wish of the New Moon. I do like this one a bit more. 3-mana arcane spell, deal 6 to a minion. Again, cast 3 spells to gain lifesteal. The lifesteal version of this is very good. We know that from like Death Knight. This is basically that 4-mana spell, deal 6 lifesteal. That's been very, very good for Death Knight. I think it remains very, very good for Priest. I even kind of think the baseline version here isn't terrible. There will be moments this feels fine to play. You just want to deal with the 5/5 on board, and the unupgraded version does that just okay. Like, I don't need health. I'm just happy to play this. Got to fill my turn. that's solid. And then when it is upgraded, I feel even better. And it is also a card that's pretty good off Tyrande, I think, potentially just healing up 12. So this does feel more like a useful priest card, a little bit more flexible, and still has some of that Tyrande upside. All right, so moving on to this Imbue package here. We've got the Lunar Wing Messenger, a 2-mana 3/1 lifesteal, Battlecry, Imbue your hero power. We'll talk about this again in case you skipped ahead. Blessing of the Moon, 2 mana. Choose a priest minion or priest spell to add to your hand. It costs 1 less, but is temporary. So again, that's going to show you a pre-selected minion and spell. You'll be able to choose between Tyrande or, you know, Moonwell, or some 1-cost cards that suck. You know, it's iffy because you're only getting 2 choices. They could easily both be low-cost things that aren't very exciting. You know, the good news is, you know, you can scale this up and make the discount more significant. So get it up to, like, it costs 6 less. Some big cards could be very, very cheap. You can basically spend 2 mana to, like, cheat out a 6 or 7 cost card for free if you commit to enough imbues. I will say the fact that it's temporary, though, is another problem here, because it might be an awesome card, but maybe one that doesn't fit great in the moment. Like, you find an awesome AoE removal card, but your opponent doesn't have a big board right now, and you're like, oh, crap. Okay, well, I'll take the other card, you know? The fact that you do have a minion as a backup plan is usually, like, I can always just kind of toss a minion down, but some minions are still kind of situational and conditional, and you may not always be excited about that either. With only 2 choices, I guess the question becomes, like, how much average discount do you actually realize, and how much are you excited to play that card right now because of that temporary aspect? And that's tough. I think there's going to be some moments where the hero power just feels like it didn't do really much of anything at all, and you just got a couple low-cost cards that aren't exciting to play, and you kind of felt like you wasted the 2 mana, because you always do have to pay that 2 mana up front on the Blessing of the Moon. So that leaves this in a weird spot. Now, remember, if you're thinking about Raza at all, it was suggested Raza is getting a rework at some stage. I don't remember where we saw this. I think somewhere on Reddit. So you're not going to be able to do, like, Raza stuff, I don't think, where you're going to be able to, like, you know, chain this together 1,000 times with Raza, the resealed or whatever. Like, this would obviously create some infinite loops here off Blessing of the Moon. So don't count on this. It would be crazy broken. It's not going to happen. So if that's what you're thinking about is... Oh, look, Regis editor's note. Actually, the patch notes came out after I recorded this. Here is the newly reworked Raza the Resealed, which, as you can see, has absolutely nothing to do with hero powers. So no broken cheese possible here. So you have to rely on this as is. I'm not so convinced it's going to be amazing. There will be turns where it does line up and it feels pretty great, but just think about how much mana you're committing to that. You know, all the Imbue cards played, multiple hero powers. I do like that it's just an infinite value generator. We've definitely seen that work before as well, where it's like, okay, Priest is just going to grind people out. So I think that's solid, but is it worth it for the tempo sacrifice you're making to play the Imbue cards? Because, like, obviously this card sucks. A 3/1 with lifesteal is not good, other than it's just, you know, mandatory for the Imbue package. The lifesteal is kind of funny. It's like, okay, maybe it heals you 3, but on turn 2 in particular, you're not usually taking that much damage yet anyway. They just, like, hero powered or whatever, and you didn't really have lifesteal. It's just a little, you know, annoyance. We are, though, going to see another Imbue card, of course. It is the Kaldorei Priestess, a 4-mana 4/4. Battlecry, give all enemy minions -2 attack until your next turn, and then imbue your hero power. I like this in a little more, right? This has some good stall potential. The opponent has a board of, like, 3/3s out on turn 4. You know, maybe some 2/2s and 1/1s get totally denied. Even the 3/3s, though, are pretty much negated. You know, you might reduce a 10 damage board down to 8 or something, thanks to the Kaldorei Priestess, which is a really significant annoyance for the opponent and does slow them down. And I think you certainly need time as a priest to play all of these Imbue cards. So I like that the Messenger's cheap. Don't like its card text so much. I like the Kaldorei Priestess has good card text. I don't like that it costs 4. There will also be times where this just doesn't feel like enough. If your opponent has some 5/5s, you might still be dead sometimes playing the Kaldorei Priestess. You might have to hold on, do other things in the meantime. So it is still ultimately a lot of expense. You're talking, you know, if you want to get that hero power to a good level, we're talking about like 12 mana committed across these 2 cards. You know, 12 mana is a lot throughout the mid game to get to a point where I still don't think the hero power is that big of a payoff. So moving on, we also have the Weaver of the Cycle, a 3-mana 3/3 Battlecry. If you're holding a spell that costs 5 or more, deal 3 damage, which, yeah, I think this looks totally fine. Completely acceptable for a control priest. It's inevitably going to have a nice selection of bigger cards. A Tyrande deck might also encourage you to have some bigger spells in hand as well. I think by turn 3, you're usually going to have one big spell at least in that kind of deck because you're just running a nice selection of late game removal cards. So this becomes a good little tempo tool for those decks to just keep on. It could also be a finisher of sorts as needed. You just need that 3 damage to go face in a pinch. Well, that's a nice option late in the game as well. So all in all, a good workhorse kind of minion here for Priest. And then our final card is Twilight Influence. This is a 2-mana spell. Shadow, choose 1, destroy a minion with 3 or less attack, or summon a random 2-cost minion. And to be very clear, summoning a random 2-cost minion for 2 mana is very bad. That is just hot, utter garbage. The Shadowward Pain on the other half is okay, but I don't even think it's actually very good these days either. You know, Shadowward Pain historically was solid. There's definitely targets for this you're going to hit. Even sometimes late game cards will have like 3 attack. So I don't want to write it off completely, but it's basically Shadowward Pain because no one's ever going to pick the other option. It's just so bad. Like, why couldn't that be summon a random 3-cost, man? I think it would have been still very fair, frankly. So I guess this card's like kind of okay. I almost just want to give it a terrible score though because of that second choose 1 option being so bad. I think I frankly will, because I don't know if Shadowward Pain is good enough given all the other like crazy priest removal that exists these days. I'm probably going to punish this card even though it might honestly be okay as just a Shadowward Pain. All right, so that's it. Let's go ahead and rate these cards from 1 to 5 stars. Tyrande is a 4-star card. Moonwell is a 3-star card. Ritual of the New Moon is a 2-star card. Wish of the New Moon is a 4-star card. Lunar Wing Messenger is a 2-star card. Kaldorei Priestess is a 3-star card. Weaver of the Cycle is a 3-star card. Twilight Influence is a 2-star card. And yeah, there you go. That's the preset. Gotta be honest, this preset does not feel super cohesive to me. Like, Tyrande doesn't really make sense with the Imbue stuff. These spells like kind of seem like they're for Tyrande, but also they seem bad because of Tyrande. Yeah, I don't know, man. Like, there's some big spell stuff. We got a dragon card earlier with no additional dragons. We got like that the Aviana, but none of these really seem like great Aviana cards either. I mean, like, Tyrande's, I guess, good, but man, that seems like a really expensive, high committed deck. So I don't know, just not in love with this preset. Kind of a not my favorite set to finish on, but I have enjoyed a lot of the various builds and decks and archetype ideas in this expansion so far. So very excited to try all this stuff out. Share your thoughts down below on Priest or otherwise. Thanks much for watching me throughout this review season. And stay tuned for videos. I'm going to be doing theory crafting. I'm not going to stream, just record off stream. But hopefully get, 6-7 decks. Might even try to do some of that early access brawl as well, because I'm going to be heading out of town a little bit shortly after the expansion launch. So not going to have as much time to play post-launch. I need to maximize my fun pre-launch. But anyway, lots of videos on the way. Thanks as much as always for watching. And until next time, game on.